Whether you are in the process of applying for a green card or already have one, getting a DUI conviction can be damaging to your future. In today's tip of the week, we're going to talk about getting a DUI as an immigrant, both undocumented and with legal status. What can you expect from it, and how can it affect your situation here in the United States? I'm immigration attorney Andres Mejer. Join me. Getting pulled over by the police is an experience that will make any of us. It can get worse if it involves a driving under the influence charge. You are putting your life and the life of others at risk when you get behind the wheel of a car while drunk. Getting arrested with a DUI charge can affect your career, your finances, and put you in serious trouble with the law. Everyone knows the consequences of driving under the influence are severe. However, for non-US citizens, the experience is exponentially worse. Immigrants who receive a DUI charge are at risk of losing their jobs. They could lose their entire future in the United States. For some, it could result in their removal from this country and separation from their loved ones. But let's start at the beginning. What is a DUI or DWI? DUI stands for driving while under the influence, usually of alcohol or drugs, both the legal and the illegal sorts. Some states call this crime a DWI, driving while intoxicated. The facts around each person's DUI can be vastly different, however, and we will be considering when determining what the conviction means for immigration purposes. The immigration consequences vary depending on all the charges you are facing, from speeding to assault by auto and anything in between. Any prior criminal history you might have, and your specific immigration options. Remember, we use the 953 method. A DUI is a criminal charge, and that is one of the 5 things that could disqualify you, depending on what your immigration options are. For example, if you are a lawful permanent resident and want to apply for citizenship, you may have to wait an additional 5 years to apply. Remember, there are 9 principal paths to legal status: family-based application, employment-based application, cancellation removal, asylum, special immigrant juvenile, VAWA, to name some. Every one of those and a U visa could be different. For example, a U visa includes a waiver within the process, so a conviction for a U visa or for a VAWA usually does not disqualify you for a single DUI. Whereas applying for your citizenship, you might be found to not be a good moral person and may be denied your citizenship and may have to wait an additional 5 years to make another request. If you are an immigrant, the severity of the consequences for a DUI charge can change vastly depending on your immigration status. Will a DUI charge affect your immigration status? Well, this will depend on your personal circumstances. If you are a lawful permanent resident, the repercussions are, the example I just gave, your repercussions are different than you're a US citizen or if you're undocumented. If you receive a DUI charge and you are an undocumented immigrant, the risk for immediate immigration detention for court proceedings is higher, and the chances that this could lead to deportation will be higher. In this case, you will certainly need a proper legal defense. ICE prioritizes deporting undocumented immigrants that have criminal records. So a DUI charge can heighten your chance of being removed from the US. In 2018 alone, ICE arrested more than 80,000 undocumented immigrants with DUI charges and criminal convictions. Under the Trump administration, the chance for undocumented immigrants to be discovered and put into removal by ICE for even minor offenses increased dramatically. Despite having no prior serious criminal record, you could be put into removal for a single DUI charge, not even talking about a conviction. Now, let's say that you are an undocumented individual and you got charged for DUI. How does this affect your chances of deportation? Like I mentioned before, every case is different and the outcome can vary depending on the individual circumstances. But yes, if you are convicted for a DUI and you're undocumented, there's a chance you can get deported. However, there are also steps you can take to protect yourself and fight for your right to stay in the United States. One thing to keep in mind is the severity of your DUI determines the severity of punishment. For instance, if you're arrested for driving under the influence with a child in the car, it's a more serious crime, and there are more than just the crime of DUI. You're also looking at child endangerment. And consequently, your chance of deportation goes up. Here are some scenarios that could set a higher chance of affecting your immigration status in a DUI conviction. If it's drug related, if you have prior DUI convictions, if you have prior convictions for other criminal offenses, your DUI involves endangering a child. For example, let's say you're accused of a DUI when there's a child in the car. That's child endangerment. It involves driving with a suspended license. Why? Because if they prove that you knew your license was suspended, that knowing component for immigration makes it a crime of moral turpitude, meaning a DUI, the state doesn't need to prove that you knew you were drunk, only that you were operating a motor vehicle on a public roadway while over the legal limit or under the influence. That's all they need to prove. Your intention doesn't matter. However, to convict you for driving with a suspended license, the state has to show that you knew or should have known your license was suspended. So you drive while drunk and you knew you shouldn't have been driving to begin with, that makes it a problem. Another example is a DUI charge that could harm your immigration status. Depending on which one of these 5, any DUI is a problem. However, a DUI plus other stuff increases the likelihood of your deportation. Again, there is no guarantees one way or the other. It depends on what paths you have. Can you overturn prior convictions? There's a lot that goes into it, but believe me when I tell you, it doesn't help you. If you're an immigrant who's been charged with a DUI, you need to obtain legal counsel right away, regardless of how severe the charges seem to appear. Don't just show up in court and plead guilty. It's not a good idea. We discussed what can you expect if you get a DUI as an undocumented immigrant. Now let's talk about what can happen if you're a lawful permanent resident. And it's important to mention that even if you are a legal resident, you could still be at risk of deportation and other immigration-related consequences if you're convicted of certain crimes such as an aggravated DUI. If you are convicted of a deportable offense, you could be placed into immigration court and have your green card taken away through an order of removal, just like you could be put into removal if you're undocumented. If you're a lawful permanent resident and you've been convicted of a DUI, you could be at risk of being put into deportation. If you've previously been convicted of crimes, that just makes it more likely you get put into removal. The possibly relevant grounds for deportation for someone with DUI conviction could be an aggravated felony, which includes serious crimes such as rape, murder, trafficking, but also includes various other crimes such as theft, obstruction of justice, use of false documents, smuggling, forgery. A crime of moral turpitude committed within 5 years of being lawfully admitted to the United States, for which the sentence could have been 1 or more years. A crime of violence like assault, aggravated assault. In some states, domestic violence is itself a crime, particularly when it's violent. 2 separate crimes involving moral turpitude, or an offense related to a controlled dangerous substance, meaning illegal drugs. It's really what it comes down to. And again, illegal in the federal guidelines, not in the state. So if you're in New Jersey, New York, Colorado, and 13 or 16 states, smoking marijuana is legal. However, it is still a crime for immigration purposes. So if you are arrested for DUI because of marijuana, well, you got a big problem. Again, the circumstances of the case and whether the person has other crimes on record will make a difference in whether DUI results in deportation proceedings. Even if you've already possessed legal status, a criminal conviction that is considered a deportable offense will jeopardize your permanent status in the US when you leave the country and attempt to re-enter after international travel, or if you want to file for citizenship. If you have a criminal record on top of a recent DUI charge, it could certainly make your case more complicated. Doesn't mean you're going to be deported. Again, the best recommendation I could give you is to get a proper defense to address your situation as quickly as possible. Finally, you're probably wondering, will a DUI charge make you inadmissible to get legal status? Once again, the answer will depend on your background and situation. Typically, a basic DUI will not keep a non-citizen from achieving legal residency. But if they have prior convictions for an offense considered to be a crime of turpitude, they could be ineligible. A single DUI conviction without aggravating factors doesn't make you inadmissible. But take DACA, for example. A single DUI will completely disqualify you from DACA. And if you have DACA, it usually means you don't have any other form of relief. So if you get convicted of a DUI and then get denied your DACA, or you don't renew it, you could then be put into removal proceedings, and that's a problem. Now, multiple DUIs or DUIs with aggravating factors can be sufficient to aggravate any immigration situation and make any immigrant ineligible to achieve legal status in the United States. With that, we arrive at the end of this video, but I don't want to go before giving you this last piece of advice that could help you avoid anything we just talked about here. Please don't drink and drive. It can bring disastrous consequences to you, your family, and your community. Avoid them. Be responsible on the road and get home safe. If you like this video, please give us a like and share with people that could benefit from this information. If you have a DUI case or want to discuss any other immigration issue, please contact us. We would love to hear from you and help you in any way we can. Remember, if we can't help you, we won't take your money. Always be healthy and stay well.